Greetings, I'm Dr. Peter Resnick, and welcome to my face reading Secrets of the People in the News session. I would like to remind you, if you're interested in the subject of face reading, you can watch on YouTube my Introduction to Face Reading and Face Reading 101. I already did readings of faces of Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Vladimir Putin, Bill Cosby, and Bashar al-Assad. I have another 6 or 7 people in the news lined up. But today I decided to deviate from my usual kind of reading. Something big is happening in the world that I would like to address. It may or may not be within the format that I originally chose, but I feel I must do it. Today I will not talk about one particular person in the news. I will talk about many people in the news. I will talk about those who by some are called terrorists. I hope this one you will watch from the beginning to the end. I say by some called terrorists because by others they are called the true soldiers of Islam. So it all depends on who is talking. So let's look at some of them. These people who I call the meat, the foot soldiers, the followers, you can look at them closely. There is very little thought there, very low intelligence. You can see small ears, that is means that they follow, they don't lead or don't need to think much on their own. They would follow anybody. Look at the right side, the fighter on the right. He tied to the cement brick to protect his genitals, so if he gets killed, of course Allah will give him 70 virgins. He wants to have his male equipment, so to speak, to be intact. We can understand that. You can think somebody would say to him, brother, paradise is spiritual, you will have a different kind of body there, but nobody does. Do you wonder why? Why nobody does? Let's keep going. These killers to be, and some of them already are killers, the one on the upper left, actually, there is a video where he beheads a prisoner. I call them the new meat. Many of them look quite intelligent, but that will go away quite soon with good training. These kids are very inspired. They looked even happy. Look at the handsome boy on the right. This is not a boy from ISIS. This is a Hamas boy. Some people still think that there is a difference. But how does all this happen? Who inspires them? Who leads them? Now we're talking about something important. Let's meet at least a few of the leaders who inspire. Anjem Chowdhury. He's a British cleric, graduated from University of Southampton. He's highly intelligent. Look at his ears, very independent, perfect facial proportions. He declares that Allah gave them the United Kingdom. Allah gave them the world. And if you listen to him, you understand he is not a lunatic. He is a man who is inspired by an idea, another inspired man. Let's keep going. 3 guys who are also inspired men. Number 1, Shakir Wahayab, one of the leaders of ISIS, merciless killer. He is intelligent, the face of what we call a Jupiter, visionary, good memory, able to grasp ideas and bring them to fruition, patient, tolerant, deep-set eyes. Means he is an introvert, keeps things to himself, does not need to show off. He is one of the few people from ISIS who actually do not hide their face. But it's not to show off. There is a reason for it. Next, number 2, Nidal Hassan, the American, the killer, not American-born, but American nevertheless, served in military, an officer, the killer at Fort Worth, a psychiatrist, an educated man, isn't he? Number 3, Ismail Haniyeh, a dean of the Islamic University, the leader of Hamas, the same Hamas that used their own children as human shields, also a Jupiter. And finally, the star of the show, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS. Another Jupiter. Isn't it interesting? So let's look closely at Jupiter personality. If you like order, integrity, passion for justice and stability, a Jupiter is your person. They're consistent and reliable. They're the least discouraged of all personalities. If they believe something is right, It does not matter how many people think otherwise. They stick to their truth. Their religiosity or moral values help them to stay on course, even when the going gets rough. They always retain their usual benevolence and generosity. The only time that Jupiter lose their composure is when they perceive an injustice. Then they may become authoritarian, moralistic, and self-righteous. This search for justice often makes them choose a judicial career or a career of a cleric. They are good teachers and leaders. They are great companions, as well as being very patient and tolerant, caregivers. Of all personalities that Jupiter has most to offer and demands the least. Doesn't it sound strange, right? But it's another inspired man. He's not a lunatic. Look at his face. Not an imbecile, not an illiterate follower. In fact, he earned Ph.D. in Islamic studies. At one point, I called him the only sincere man. Excuse me, that's a plane. I called him the only sincere man in the Middle East. He said Islam has never been about peace. It is always about the war, unstoppable, perpetual against the disbelievers by any means necessary. Beheading, burning people alive is all in the Quran. That is the source. He is not promoting anything that is not written in the Quran. If you doubt it, read the Quran. So today's face of the killer in the news are the teachings of the Quran. And some say, of course, we heard already that. That's Islamophobia. Let's look at Islamophobia. Look at this. This is the future we'll have to deal with. Islamophobia means phobia of Islam. What is phobia? Phobia is defined as a persistent fear of an object or situation in which the sufferer commits to great length in avoiding, typically disproportional to the actual danger posed. The fear being recognized as irrational. Well, being beheaded, that is, having your head cut off by a sword or a knife, is something one wants to avoid. And what do you think about disproportionality of this phobia? You can watch on YouTube all the beheadings. And it's all done in the name of Allah, not only by ISIS, but in other Muslim majority communities. And I don't think that the fear is irrational, because if you are a Christian, a Hebrew, a Hindu, or from any other religion but Islam, the so-called Holy Quran in over 100 passages teaches that you must be converted, and if not, be terrorized and killed. And yes, not all Muslims choose to follow these instructions, because there are indeed teachings of love, compassion, and honor. By the way, it relates only to treating another Muslim that way, but nevertheless, there are. And in fact, most Muslims choose to follow those good instructions. But by the estimates of the British and American intelligence, only 10 to 20% of all Muslims are interested in following the terror and world domination ideas of Quran. And only they are called the radicals. But 10%, not even 20, 10% out of 1.5 billion Muslims makes it 150 million people. Yes, there are 150 million people, half of the population of the United States, who want to establish Sharia law and institute the horrific laws that you see ISIS practice. Though our president, the President of the United States of America, still insists on calling all their actions the random acts of violence, and insists that it has nothing to do with Islam, to deny what we see around the world with our own eyes. We must be idiots or have some hidden agenda. And I do not think that our president is an idiot, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. See you next Thursday.